Today I will be talking heat balance in roasting. This heat balance is a very important exercise, particularly in extraction of metal by pyrometallurgical techniques, because pyrometallurgy by name itself, it is done at very high temperature. Though roasting involves lower temperature, but still around 900 to 1100 degrees Celsius is the temperature that is required during roasting of any sulphide to oxide. Now, why we should carry out heat balance? One of the important information that we would like to have before we design a reactor, say what is the temperature attained by the roasting product during roasting of a concentrate. So, the first information that we would like to have, say the temperature. That is temperature attained by the roast product inside the reactor. Now, why this temperature is important? Now, this temperature is important because you have to find out the material for the construction of the reactor. Now, that material must be able to sustain that particular high temperature. That means, that material should not fuse at that temperature. So, in order to have that information, possibly heat balance can tell us the temperature which will be attained during roasting for a given amount of heat put. This is one of the very important information that is required while designing a reactor for high temperature. For lower temperature, well, temperature may not be much problem for 300, 400 degrees Celsius, because you have enough choices of material. But once you cross 900, 1000 or even 1100 degrees Celsius, then the choices are very limited. You cannot afford to take only metallic reactor, because the heat losses will be very, very high because of the higher thermal conductivity of the metallic material. So, all that you would like to have refractory material. Now, the question comes, the thermal stability of the material is important, and therefore, a knowledge of the information about the temperature prior to design of the reactor, well, in this particular case for roasting, is very, very important. Second important information that we can derive from heat balance is to compensate for heat deficit, if at all there is heat deficit. With that I mean, you know the heat input from several sources, you also know the heat output, loss rate, and all this information you have. After doing input and output calculation, then if you find a difference between the two, that means heat output is more than the heat input, then you are required to supply the extra amount of thermal energy. Now, that is again a very important, that is, to compensate for the deficit, you have to supply thermal energy from outside source. You have to supply thermal energy, some from outside source. Now, what are the sources? The sources could be the combustion of fuel or electricity. So, the combustion of fuel, then again here, the one of the source to meet the deficit of thermal energy is through combustion of fuel. Now, once you decide for combustion of fuel, then you have to know which type of fuel you want to use, whether you want to use solid fuel or you want to use liquid fuel or you want to use gaseous fuel. Now, having decided the type of fuel, then you must make sure that sufficient quantity of this fuel is also available, because you are not treating a kg or a ton reactor per day, you may be treating 100 tons or 1000 tons of concentrate per day. So, accordingly you have to have a reserve of the fuel if extra amount of energy is needed during the roasting. These are some of the important information that can be obtained from heat balance. Now, as I mentioned the calculation of temperature. Now, how to calculate temperature? How to calculate temperature? How to calculate temperature? Now, let us see what this heat balance comprises of. Now, heat balance, it comprises of, for example, heat input, that is equal to heat output plus heat accumulation. Heat accumulation. Now, you want to work at a particular temperature. So, that much amount of heat has to be retained in the reactor, so that you can perform your roasting operation. So, that means at a steady state, when the temperature of the reactor has come to the desired temperature of roasting at that point, at a steady state, then it becomes heat input, that is equal to heat output. Now, heat input, that is equal to heat output. Now, here in doing this balance, what is required? You must know all sources from where heat is entering into the system. Now, for example, the heat input, now heat input, it could be from heat of reaction, then here you must collect the data of the formation of compound or chemical reaction or whatever way you want to calculate. Then if combustion of fuel is required for deficit of energy, then heat of combustion. Another way of heat input, suppose you are heating the reactant to a particular temperature. So, that means you require sensible heat of reactant. If the reactants are supplied at 298 Kelvin, then naturally sensible heat of reactant will be equal to 0. But the higher is the temperature, then you have to see what is the amount of sensible heat of reactant that is entering into the system. Now, also in this heat balance calculation, one of the important thing is that you have to declare the basis, and the basis of all thermodynamic calculation is 298 Kelvin. Say heat of formation of compounds, heat of reaction, they are all given at 298 Kelvin. So, this basis is more or less is clear, that is in all such calculation the basis is 298 Kelvin. Now, then you have to consider also, after knowing the different sources of heat input, then you have to see heat output. Now, for example, if you are considering roasting, then heat output, the roast product is the output of the roasting reactor. Then you have to consider the heat taken by the roast product. And here you have to see that you also get all the relevant values to calculate heat content in the roast product. Say the important value, you need the Cp values. Then heat output gases. These are the two important outputs while performing the roasting operation. Now, say if you want to calculate the temperature, then what we do, for example, we select a reference temperature. Say this is my reference temperature, I call it 298 Kelvin. I supply the reactants at 298 Kelvin. So, what will I do? I will carry out all the possible reactions at 298 Kelvin and calculate the heat of reaction. So, if I write some of the reaction, For example, say FeS2, it converts to Fe2O3 oblique Fe3O4. Cu2S, it converts to, for example, CuO. PbS, it converts to PbSO4. Then all these possible, ZnS converts to ZnO. So, all these reactions you are required to calculate the heat of reaction. So, these are the, say, this side I will call, say these are the reactants, and this side these are the products. Now, what we are considering here, since the reactants are supplied at 298 Kelvin. So, in this reactants are at 298 Kelvin, therefore, sensible heat of reactant is equal to 0, that is why I have taken this is my reference point. So, at this 298 Kelvin I have carried out the reaction, and these are the products that have been formed at this particular point. Now, when these products are formed, now here also at this particular point certain amount of heat is accumulated or certain amount of heat is liberated, heat is available, let us say. Now, why I am telling liberated, because these reactions are exothermic in nature. So, that much amount of heat is liberated or that much amount of heat is available. Now, when this much amount of heat is available, all the products will take heat from this and they will be raised to a temperature, which we call, this is the temperature attained by the products of combustion during roasting. Now, here you should not forget that the roasting, it gives you roast product plus gases also. So, that gases I have not written. So, gases could be SO2, could be N2, could be SO3, could be excess oxygen, and whatever the gases which are present in the system, for example, CO2, CO, depending upon the reaction that you are. So, all these products will be raised to a temperature from the heat which is available at 298 Kelvin. So, could you get a feel how to calculate a temperature? That is, first, from the given amount of reactant, you have to write down the so called roasting reaction. If nothing is specified, then you can write down the reaction by considering stoichiometry of the chemical reaction. If something is given, then you have to adjust according to what is given. For example, a problem can say that, well, X percent SO2 and Y percent SO3 is formed. So, you have to adjust accordingly. After writing down those equations, you have to do the first thing, you have to find the material balance. You have to know what amount of materials are being produced. Once you calculated the amount of material or amount of product, amount of gases, then you calculate the heat of reaction. Then you know that much amount of heat is liberated, and then this whole thing you take it to a temperature T, and that T can be calculated by making the balance, say heat input that is equal to heat output and this output will have sigma H T minus H 298 of all products. Naturally, that will be equal to C P into d T integrated from 298 to T. So, you sum total of all, and then one can calculate the temperature. So, this is what the scheme of calculation of temperature attained during the roasting of sulphide. Now, what I have thought, let me give an example to calculate this temperature attained. So, let me take an example. Now, while I was telling to you about the roasting, I have said at that point of time that there is a fluidized bed roasting. Now, in the fluidized bed roasting, the reaction rate is very fast. So, some of the company they employ fluidized bed roasting. So, the problem is that in a fluid bed reactor, zinc concentrate of composition let us say ZnS 75%, FeS 18%, PbS 3%, SiO2 3% and H2O 1% is roasted with stoichiometric amount of air. Here I am specifying with stoichiometric amount of air. Now, normally in the fluidized bed roasting, the roast products are discharged from the other end of the reactor. Now, some condition, say during roasting 1% of total ZnS charge remains unoxidized. This is one particular condition. Second, say 80% of total iron charged, it forms ZnO into Fe2O3. What you have to do? To find the bed temperature. Find bed temperature when 10% of the heat is lost to the surrounding. When 10% of heat input is lost to surrounding. Naturally, when you are carrying out the reactor, there is some heat losses will be there, and accordingly the temperature will be affected. So, now we have to calculate the bed temperature. In the fluidized bed, there is a bed which is in the fluidized state, and this is a technology for rapid conversion of sulphide to oxide. So, as usual in all heat balance, material balance is to be done first. So, let us take material balance. Let us do material balance. Now, we have taken 1000 kg zinc concentrate, 1000 kg is zinc concentrate. Now, here let me put it kilogram moles. So, I know ZnS, FeS, then I have PbS, then I have SiO2, then I have H2O. Now, in this calculation I am using zinc atomic weight is 65, iron as 56 and lead as 207, sulfur 32 and oxygen 16. So, I convert to the kg moles 7.732. I do not think it should be difficult. If you have the calculator, you please calculate along with me. A PbS 0.126, SiO2 0.50 and H2O 0.55 and 5. So, now I am following the problem and calculate the amount of roast product. You can also follow the problem and calculate in your style, and I will calculate in my style. So, first of all I say that ZnO, ZnS unoxidized, that is equal to 0.077 kg moles. So, ZnS oxidized to ZnO, that will be equal to 7.655 kg moles. That means 7.732 minus 0.077, that much is oxidized. So, ZnO produced, total ZnO produced, that will be equal to 7.655 kg moles, because 1 mole of ZnS it forms 1 mole of ZnO. Now, the problem says some ZnO is tied up with Fe2O3, that we have to find out. So, total iron, go from total iron charge, that is equal to 2.045 kg moles. Of course, I am doing all calculations in kg mole. If I forget somewhere, you please see that I am writing on kg moles. So, it says 80% of iron is oxidized. So, 80% of iron is oxidized and forms ferrite. So, iron tied up with ferrite, that will be equal to 0.8 into 2.045, that will be equal to 1.636. Now, we can find out. So, Fe2O3 in ferrite, that will be equal to 0.818 moles, and ZnO in ferrite, that is also equal to 0.818 kg moles. Here also they are kg moles. Now, in this the reaction which is to be pursued is ZnO plus Fe2O3, that is equal to ZnO into Fe2O3. According to this reaction, this material balance has come. Therefore, amount of ZnO Fe2O3, that is equal to 0.818 kg moles. So, ZnO which is free in Roche product, that will be equal to 7.655 minus 0.818, that will be equal to 6.837. Now, similarly, since some Fe2O3 will also be free, so free Fe2O3 in Roche product, that will be equal to 0.204 kg moles. Mind you, they are all in kg moles, even if I forget somewhere, they are kg moles. So, now with that we know the amount of Roche product. So, the Roche product, it comprises of ZnS, ZnO, then Fe2O3, then we have ZnO into Fe2O3, then we have PbSO4, then we have SiO2, then we have H2O. So, all the amounts known to us 0.077, here 6.837, here it is 0.204, 0.818, PbSO4 0.126, SiO2 0.5, H2O is 0.555. Mind you, they are all in kg moles. They are all kg mole. Now, we have to calculate gases also, because they are the product. So, gases, that will be comprised of SO2, and nitrogen which is unreactive. Now, this exercise I already illustrated on material balance. So, I will not go into the detail. So, SiO2 will be 9.7 kg moles and nitrogen will be 57.58 kg moles. Now, with this material balance, we are now in a position to do the heat balance, and for the heat balance we will be needing a large amount of data. So, the data that you need, either you need the value of Cp or the values directly in terms of Ht minus H298 of all the products. So, either you know the Cp value of the product or Ht minus H928 in terms of T of all the products. Then you should also know the heat of reaction of all the chemical reactions which are occurring. So, what I have done, I have prepared a slide, and the slide shows the values of various heat content of the products as well as heat of reaction. Now, for example, if you see the slide, it shows Ht minus H298 for example, for zinc oxide, that is given. Similarly, Ht minus H298 for zinc sulphide is given, and mind you that is given in terms of temperature. Then similarly, Ht minus H298 Fe2O3 is given, ZnO Fe2O3 is given, nitrogen, sulfur dioxide, H2O, all the values are given as you can see from the slide. The slide also gives the value of the heat of reaction. Now, the various heat of reaction that the values are given on the slide, you can see ZnS plus 1.502, that is equal to ZnO plus SO2, the values of delta H naught R, that is, remember these values are given at 298 Kelvin, that is given. Similarly, PbS plus 2O2, that is the chemical reaction which is occurring, this value is also you can see on the slide. ZnO Fe2O3, that is ZnO into Fe2O3, that value of the heat of formation you can also see on the slide, and 2 FeS plus 3.502, that is equal to Fe2O3 plus SO2, that value can also be seen on the slide. Now, the slide shows very clearly all these values. Now, on the slide I have also given you the values of Ht minus H298 in terms of say T, T square and 1 by T. That means, if you see the slide you will find, I read for example, Ht minus H298 for ZnO, it says 11.71 T plus 0.61 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square plus 2.18 into 10 to the power 5 upon T minus 4277. Now, the calculation which I am going to do, I am ignoring the term 1 by T term in order to illustrate the temperature attained by the products of combustion, so that I can finish my lecture in time. So, with those values now I can calculate the so called heat liberated. I can calculate now heat liberated. Now, heat liberated first will be oxidation of ZnS, that is the one thing, oxidation of ZnS to ZnO, the reaction I have already shown you on the slide. Then oxidation of PbS, oxidation of PbS, it goes to PbSO4, then formation of ZnO Fe2O3, ZnO Fe2O3, that is this one, and then oxidation of Fe to Fe2O3. And there is no other reaction. So, one can calculate heat liberated because of the chemical reaction. I am not substituting, you can directly substitute the values, it is simply the multiplication, because the values are given in kilocalorie per kg mole all of you know. So, the heat liberated, that will be equal to 11,38938 kilocalorie. That is the heat liberated through oxidation reaction during roasting. Now, the problem also says that 10% of the heat is lost. So, therefore, the heat available that will be equal to 11,38,938 minus 11,3894. I am rounding off the last digit, and so this is comprising of heat loss, this one the heat of reaction, so now the heat available would be, just I subtract it. So, heat available, I have to write again here, heat available that will be equal to 102,5044 kilocalorie. So, mind you, this much amount of heat is available, which will be utilized by the product to raise the temperature from where? From 298 Kelvin, because our reference temperature was 298 Kelvin. So, the product will be raised from 298 Kelvin to a temperature which we have to calculate. So, we will calculate now all the values of the heat output. So, heat output 1, say heat output 1 will be by ZNO, ZNS, Fe2O3, then we have ZNO, Fe2O3, then you have PbSO4, then you have SiO2, then you have H2O liquid. Mind you, H2O liquid in transferring to H2O gas at a given temperature T, then you have SO2 and then you have nitrogen. So, all these values you have to multiply by the kg moles, which already I have given, or I can write down once again here. ZNO is 6.837. This has to be multiplied by HT minus H298 for ZNO value, seeing from the slide. ZNS is 0.077, Fe2O3 is 0.204, ZNO Fe2O3 0.818, PbSO4 0.126, this is 0.5 and the moles are 0.555, SO2 moles are 9.7 and nitrogen moles are 57.58. So, you have to multiply. For example, I can write 1, say for ZNO the value will be 80.06 T plus 4.17 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 29242. Another example for say ZNS 0.94 T plus 0.048 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 319. Similarly, for Fe2O3 that will be 6.47 T plus 0.18 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 1723. Similarly, one can write down for all the same way you can write down. For example, for SO2 the values will be 107.08 T plus 9.12 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 38722. For nitrogen this value is very important, it is very high value 393.27 T plus 25.91 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 121,897. Mind you, all these values are in kilocalories. So, now we have calculated this HT minus H298 for ZNO, ZNH and all these values. In fact, what I calculated here, I can just put here, these are the values are HT minus H298 for all we have calculated. Now, we can sum total all these values. So, if you sum total heat output, that will be equal to 623.13 T plus 49.83 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 197,018. Now, remember in this illustration the values I have calculated by ignoring 1 by T terms in HT minus H298, which you have seen in the slide. Remember, I have again and again I am repeating, for the illustrating purposes I have neglected the term 1 by T. The values may be slightly inaccurate, but it may not make much difference, but for exact calculation you have to take all the terms which are given on the slide for HT minus H298. For illustration, again I am repeating, I am neglecting the 1 by T term, please note it. So, this is now heat input must be equal to heat output. So, then I will be getting and rearranging the equation, that is 49.83 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square plus 623.13 T, that is equal to heat output, heat input we have calculated 1025044, that will also be plus when you do heat input is equal to heat output 197018. So, we will be getting now the equation which we have to solve, 49.83 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square plus 623.13 T, that is equal to 1222062. Now, mind you, here T is in Kelvin. Now, all of you know that this equation is a quadratic equation. This equation is a quadratic equation of the type ax square plus bx plus c, that is equal to 0. So, we can also transform into that particular form. So, that will become 49.83 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square plus 623.13 T minus 1222062, that is equal to 0, and T will be from here minus b plus minus b square minus 4 AC upon 2 A, where A that is equal to 49.83 into 10 to the power minus 3, B that is equal to 623.13. So, C that is equal to minus 1222062. So, all that now it requires substitution. If I do that, then T will be equal to 1723.6 Kelvin. This is the answer when stoichiometric amount of air is used. Now, this temperature is very high. So, this calculation does suggest you what should be the material of construction and what should be done. Now, I may tell you here, since I neglected 1 by T term in H T minus H298, I hope that if you include that particular term, maybe the temperature could be around 30-40 degree more. So, that is what the illustration for stoichiometric amount. Now, the question comes, what happens if we take excess than the stoichiometric amount? Now, remember, roasting is a solid state reaction. The reactants are in the solid state and products are also in the solid state. If you happen to know the details of kinetics of solid-solid reaction, then the rate of reaction is relatively slow as compared to liquid-liquid and gas-liquid reaction and gas-solid reaction. So, solid-solid reactions are extremely slow. If you want to carry out roasting just by the stoichiometric amount, the roasting will not be complete. Very simple reason, because 1 mole of oxygen will be carrying with it 3.76 moles of nitrogen in order to form 4.76 moles of air. So, when a reactant comes into contact with air, then the chances are there it will always find its neighbor as nitrogen as compared to oxygen, and the probability of finding nitrogen is more as compared to probability of finding of oxygen. So, therefore, the stoichiometric amount of air which is used for roasting, it is good to calculate, it is good to do the calculation, but normally excess amount of air is always used. So, what happens if we use excess amount of air on the temperature attained by the roast product? So, this I am going to illustrate now. So, let us see, suppose we take now excess air is 20%. Suppose if we take now excess air, that is equal to 20%. Now, naturally once we have taken the excess air 20%, then our material balance is not valid, particularly in case of gases, because the roast product the material balance will be valid, but in case of gases we have to do again material balance, how much amount of gases are coming. SO2 amount will not be affected, because S plus O2 is equal to SO2, it will react in that stoichiometric amount. The only now the gases will include SO2, N2 and O2. So, now we have to recalculate all these values. So, if we calculate now SO2, that will be same as we have calculated for stoichiometric amount. Now, you have to calculate nitrogen, you have to recalculate nitrogen, because now 20% excess air. So, the nitrogen will be 69.1, they are in kg moles, they are in kg moles. What other change will occur? Because now you are using 20% excess air, in the stoichiometric amount the gases comprised of SO2 and N2. Now, here the gases will comprise of SO2, N2 and excess oxygen, and the excess oxygen that will be equal to 3.065, plus it will also have a moisture that was 0.555. The amount is same as it was earlier, there is hardly any change. So, with this now modified material balance of the gases, we have to recalculate the HT minus H298 for nitrogen oxygen, HT minus H298 values for SO2 and H2O, we can take it from the stoichiometric amount. So, I am doing that. For example, if I write now say HT minus H298 for SO2, I am borrowing from the stoichiometric amount, that was 107.08 T plus 9.12 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 38722. Now, I have to calculate for HT minus H298 for nitrogen, that will be now 471.95 T plus 31.1 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square minus 146,285. Similarly, I have to calculate now H t minus H 298 oxygen, which was not earlier, that an additional amount comes, that will be 21.95 t plus 1.53 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square minus 7089. Of course, moisture I am borrowing, say H t minus H 298 for H2O, I can use it my earlier value, that is 4.05 t plus 0.68 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square minus 1269. So, these are the values. Of course, here SO2 and H2O, they are the value from the stoichiometric amount, nitrogen and oxygen are the modified values. So, heat output by the Roche product, we can take the same value, heat out by Roche product that will be equal to, as we calculated earlier, 118.73 t plus 14.12 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square minus 34,730. So, now heat output, by roast gases, by roast product and gases, we will sum total everything. So, this will come out to be equal to 723.76 t plus 56.55 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square minus 2,28495. Now, again we do that heat input or rather heat liberated or heat available, we can write better heat available because it contains the losses also, that will be equal to heat output. Heat available we have already calculated earlier. So, if I do that balance and I restructure the equation in terms of the quadratic equation, then I get the final equation, which is 56.55 into 10 to the power minus 3 t square plus 723.76 t minus 1,253,539, that is equal to 0. Again it is a quadratic equation, solution as already I have given. So, here the value of A will be equal to 56.55 into 10 to the power minus 3, value of B that will be equal to 723.76, the value of C will be equal to minus 1,253,539. So, if I use the solution of the quadratic equation, then the value of T that I will be getting is around 1545 Kelvin. So, you see now, just by taking 20% excess air, the temperature drops to of the order of 200 Kelvin. Now, the reason is quite obvious. There is no change in the Roche product. The only change now, additional amount of nitrogen and oxygen, they will also take away the heat, and as a result of which the temperature decreased to 1545 Kelvin. Still that temperature is also a very high temperature. Now, suppose if we take 40% excess air, well obviously it is a common sense that if we increase the amount of excess air, the temperature will drop, because now large amount of nitrogen will be created, additionally oxygen will also be created, and they will all take away the heat which is available. Naturally, the roasting or the product temperature will decrease. So, for example, if I take now 40% excess air, if I take now 40% excess air, then the roast product heat output, SO2 heat output, moisture heat output will all the same. The only thing is that now the nitrogen moles will be 80.61 and oxygen moles will be 6.13. Mind you, these are the additional, they are the modified form of material balance for the gases. So, if I calculate now say H T minus H2 98 for nitrogen, that will be 550.57 T plus 36.27 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 170.651. For oxygen, that will be 43.89 T plus 3.07 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square minus 14179. So, heat balance, and I am arranging the equation in a quadratic form. So, it will be 63.26 into 10 to the power minus 3 T square plus 824.32 T minus 128.4995, that is equal to 0. You know that the value of, so this is the value of A, this is the value of B, and this is the value of C, including its minus sign. So, if we calculate, then you see the temperature reduces further to 1407 Kelvin. So, what we have learned today, that heat balance can lead us to a very important parameter for design of reactor, that is the temperature, and from here onwards we can find out what should be the material of construction for the reactor design in case of roasting. At least that material should be able to sustain a temperature of the order of 1407 Kelvin, if we believe on the calculations, if we believe on the assumption that we have made, and so this helps to design the roasting reactor, and that is what the importance of heat balance calculation.